So if you guys have any questions, this is the time to ask, friends. No? You guys have all the answers in the world, huh? I knew it. I knew that I'm some of the smartest. You guys could write your question too, if you're too bashful. Gabby. But if you, okay, question. I live in Montreal, and at Ubisoft, Montreal, and Warner Bros. Games and such, they seem way more likely to hire 2D environment artists versus like, I would assume character concept artists. So should I be working on environments? That's if you want to work for Ubisoft, and you can care less on what you do. Like, that's true. You know, like, oh, you know, it'd be cooler, just bigger heads. Nah, smaller heads, fine. Yeah, like, if you think about it, you know, yeah, so you don't want to work for mobile games or whatever, spread yourself too thin. Yeah, I understand all that. So I'm going to answer this question in a very broad and very honest way, right? So then you can kind of take this at whatever face value. Okay? So what ends up happening is if someone like in your position, right? Like, I just want to work. I just want to get that experience. But what experience are you going to get if you work for Ubisoft? Well, you're going to get experience doing environment art. Yeah? You understand this? Now the question is, do you like environment concept art? Like, I like environment concept art, right? I like looking at it, and from time to time I do it, you know? But when I put pen to we come pen to tablet, you know? Well, let me just phrase it to you this way. Like don't get ahead of yourself. Just listen to kind of what I'm about to say. Okay? And so if you prefer characters, like when you go to draw and when you're ready to draw, you find yourself drawing characters. It's not that you don't like environments or anything, but you just know in your hearts of heart that you just draw characters. Not that you're better at it, that you just draw. Like, that's what you prefer. You just love it. That could be illustrations. That could be, you know, stylized or not stylized. It can be whatever it is, whatever you find yourself drawing the most of. You understand? Then that's something that you should focus a lot of your attention on, because then you'll have a job. Like, it's the long game that you're playing. You're not playing the short game. Because I have friends who've done that route, right? Who worked like, well, I just want to work. That's what they'll say, right? So they get the job because, you know, it's easier, and you work really hard for years to just get better environments, and then you get there and you're drawing environments all the time, and you're just not as happy as you was hoping, you know? And you find yourself really torn, because now you're working in industry and you're just thinking, well, I want to do characters now, like, because I really like characters. But now you have a full-time job doing concept art. Do you understand that? And then all of your artwork, guess what? All your portfolio is going to be what? Mostly environments. And then all of a sudden, becoming a character concept artist becomes even more challenging. You understand? And so then when you go home at night and you're thinking, well, I'll just work when I'm at home. But when you get home, you're equally like tired. Like you just go home and you're creative, both physically and creatively exhausted. Does that make sense to you? Like, meaning that you don't really want to draw anymore. You know, you just want to like hang out, play video games or something, or watch a movie, like watch the latest episode of Game of Thrones. Yeah, so you hear this happen all the time with people who work in the, yeah, absolutely, in the mobile game industry. It's the same problem. See, when you start to work, you'll start to do more of that work. You understand? So when I worked some of my first studios, I did stuff that was for the kids, and it wasn't that I didn't like it. It's just it's not what I preferred. I'd rather do stuff that I do now, right? And so then as I was doing it, I realized that when I got laid off, because what ended up happening, I was a victim to the circumstances. I had no control. And when I got laid off from the company that I was working at, I remember looking at my portfolio and not liking anything, realizing I pretty much had no portfolio, you know? And I had to basically start from scratch. But it was worse because now I was out of the job, you know? And what I'm trying to kind of prevent in my students is this problem of like unexpected, you know, complacency. You don't think that you would be, but trust me, it happens to the best of us, you know? And so getting to the point of, well, should I do environments? You know, should I do this or that? Do whatever you are interested in. If you are interested in working for Ubisoft and you don't care how you get in, art to you is, you know, meaningless in that aspect. Like you can draw and do everything, then you just got to then really focus in on that, right? Otherwise, you know, you got to just keep to your guns. Yeah, for sure. I've heard that from, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So maybe work on personal projects that follow what I want and apply to the jobs I actually, oh man, everything's falling apart. And apply to the jobs I actually want to pursue long term. Yeah, you should always work on what you want to do for a living, if that really, if you weren't sure before, right? Because it's only going to get you there. So a better question isn't so much what's easier, right? Because yes, I understand, you know, getting paid is nice, and if you don't make money now and it's really hard, life's hard, I get that. I really do. I've been there, done that, and I'm still experiencing that in many instances, you know? I really understand that, okay? But what I'm trying to really kind of get across to you is that if you focus in on only that, then you'll get there and you'll potentially hate it. Okay, you'll actually feel even more lost because you've done all the things right and you got the job. Aren't you supposed to be happy now? And I can tell you from experience that's not always the case. And I can tell you from not just anecdotal experience like my own experience, but from seeing it from so many peers. I see it happen to so many of my friends, and I see it happen to a lot of young artists. Just like in a conversation with my old students who's working for a studio that they really wanted to work for, and now that they're working there, you know, they're having second thoughts about like their path, and they're having an existential crisis basically, you know. And I warned them of this, and then yet they still fell into this trap, you know? And so I try my best always to kind of educate people to prevent this from happening. But here's another reason why being focused is pretty valuable. I'll give you another good example, okay? So another way of thinking about this is that student or person A, let's say all they're good at is skill 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And this is all the time that they spent on each. And then person B, all they're good at is skill 4. Okay, let's say concept art. for characters. So when this person's applying for Ubisoft, person A, right, and they're looking for environments, environments are skill 1. So that means person A has a better chance than person B, right? Has an improved chance to work for Ubisoft because they have some experience, right? And let's say, working for a realistic contemporary game. So this person has some more portfolio work there, or mobile app artwork, all there. Okay. And then the last one is character concept artist. So in this instance, B would not only have an increased chance, they would almost, compared to A, they would look like a complete and dominant force, right? Like person B is highly qualified for like that fourth position. And so you're saying, well, but like in all those other instances, person A was doing great. Well, that's assuming that there is no other artist in the world that does those other skills as their main focus. Do you see what I'm getting at? And that's obviously not true. There are obviously people out there who are specialized in environments, characters, vehicles, and they're like the best of the best, like mechs, what have you. And it's hard to just be good at all 4 of those. Exactly. It's possible, though. It's not impossible to really be a master of like many different things, right? I'm not making that a statement either. I'm not saying that that's impossible. And I'm not even saying that if you don't want to, like if you want to do these multiple things, that you shouldn't ever pursue it. I'm just saying be very realistic. If you're looking to land a job quickly, sorry, my phone keeps alarm. This is my alarm letting me know when to finish the class. It's going to go off one more time. Do you see kind of where I'm getting at? So if you focus a lot of your attention on just, well, how am I going to get a job? Then you're always going to be reactive, right? You're, Ubisoft, Montreal, etc. So I best do this now, right? That's reactive. You're not staying consistent. It's actually a distraction. But if you were just to say, well, you know what, like I want to be a character concept artist, it's really what I get out of bed for. I do like environments. From time to time, I will practice and train in that, but it's not my priority. It is not my priority. I'm not caught up in that, then your portfolio will be mastered a little bit sooner. My friend said it the best. I think it's one of the best ways to think about this. He said, it's important to be a jack of all trades, but a master at one. Like it's good to learn many different things, kind of like what I was talking with Thomas about, but a master at a thing. And right now you're not a master. You understand? And so you should probably stay focused on the thing until mastery. And then it will eventually happen. It will take some time. It's not guaranteed to happen overnight. All you can do, because even with the environment job at Ubisoft, your chances are increased, of course, if you have environments, but then you're still competing to many other artists who are amazing. So like if you're going to work that hard just to get a job at a place, and the amount of effort and time you would have to spend to get as good as you need to be is so dramatic, right? Like it's so intense that would make you an expert at that said thing, then why don't you put all that time and effort and at least into the thing that you actually would like to get a job and career in, That's why I think it's important to think about a studio anywhere in the world, any film or any project, and make that like your number one like target, even if it's like out of country, out of state, or out of like in a different planet. Like that's a good gauge, because there are multiple and several different industries or several different like companies that might have share that same aesthetic or that same kind of genre, that is local to you, or maybe not local but willing to work with you remotely. You know what I mean? Than it is just to work at Ubisoft and just get that experience. You can get that experience in many different ways. But you can always go the Ubisoft route too. There's nothing wrong with that. Just know that now it's time to go complete fully like into environments. And if that's true, if that's something that you genuinely want, Gabby, like you're like, I want to work there, then you can stop doing characters for my class and start submitting environments, and I'll start critiquing those instead, just to help you out. So keep that in mind. And if that's the case, if you've made that decision, then I would highly recommend you change now. Just ignore what I said with your homework and start doing environment thumbnails or illustrations or whatever you think they are needing. Okay.
You gotta go, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna go pretty soon. Does that make sense to you? Was that helpful? Okay, good. All right. I could take on one more question and then I'm gonna have to roll out. Now, what kinds of work is a studio like Sony looking for? Which one? There's many different Sonys. And just to answer that question without you actually giving me that answer, the best way to do this is just look at their games. Like, what kind of games are they making? That's the kind of artwork they're looking for. Like, you can just Google it. You know? Yeah, I don't want to come off as just like snotty about it, but it's that kind of information is available. Like, they might not give you a direct like answer, but it's kind of like, you know, with like League of Legends, for instance. You can just look at League of Legends. You can see the artwork that they have going on, and right, they're actually working on some secret projects that might require different kinds of art, you know. But overall, what you see from League of Legends can all be experienced on the interwebs, man. You can just go and look. You know what I mean? But I think they're leaning more realistic. Like the latest God of War is a little bit more realistic. But that's just my yeah, it's a little bit it's a little bit stylized, but it's actually more realistic. Yeah, if you just look at the latest one, the new God of War is obviously more like that, right? The old ones were a little bit pushed in style, yeah, but they still had a sense of realism. Like, I was able to work there. The kind of stuff that I did worked perfectly with them. But that's kind of where they're at right now. Otherwise, you don't know, right? Like, if they have secret projects that are like super cartoony, they're not going to flash that on until they're ready, you know. But with the projects they do have, you can kind of make a guess. Like, for instance, I know that I wouldn't be able to work at Pixar for very obvious reasons, you know. And you just got to be really good about being observant to that. All right. All right. I got to roll out though. Great class, you guys. Great questions. We'll spend a little bit more time on Q&A next time. Yeah, the new God of War is amazing. Thomas. And that is the secret to concept art, everybody. Hopefully you guys all got it. This is the second time I've had to tell everybody. This is the only time I can. But peace out, friends. I literally have to go run. Hope you guys have a good one. And have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys next week. Peace out, friends. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to watch more in the future. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a thumbs up. If you like this content, you can go to my website, robotpencil.net, where you can find mentorships, tutorials, and a Patreon to get more exclusive content. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in my next videos.